So, in an extraordinary reversal of Megxit, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are returning to the United Kingdom to make it their permanent home.
Going it alone, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex announced they're stepping back as senior royals.
Will you no longer take your children back to the UK?
I think it's probably too soon to tell. I would love reconciliation with my family.
This, of course, interferes with his ability to have penetrating person-to-person discussions on the relative merits of Wittgenstein versus Kant.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are preparing to make a significant return to the United Kingdom, bringing their children, Archie and Lilibet, with them. After years of living in California, the decision marks a major change in the direction of their family life.
The move comes after a complicated 6-year period that began in 2020 when Harry and Meghan announced that they were stepping back as senior working members of the royal family. They subsequently relocated to California and built a separate life centered around private business ventures, media projects, and their family. Now, reports indicate that the couple intends to spend an extended period in Britain, with the children's education appearing to be one of the central considerations.
Intellectual discourse that Harry has been developing with somebody in California, a meeting with the feds where they were inquiring into and looking into the paperwork that he submitted. I mean, I don't have my notes in front of me, but I think it was in 2021.
The timing is particularly significant because Harry himself previously expressed doubts about bringing his wife and children back to Britain. He said that he missed his homeland but could not see a future in which his family returned there.
That position appears to have changed considerably. In a 2025 interview, Harry spoke about missing parts of the UK and expressed a desire for reconciliation with his family, while also acknowledging that some relatives might never forgive him for writing his memoir. He described life as precious and said he no longer wanted to continue fighting, giving an indication that his thinking about his relationship with Britain and the royal family was becoming more complicated than it had been immediately after his departure.
There is also a practical reason for the decision. Archie and Lilibet are now 7 and 5, meaning schooling has become an immediate question for the family.
After years of global headlines, a rupture with the royal family, and a high-profile move to California.
6 years after abandoning life as working members of the royal family and relocating to North America. There's a lot to unpick. I've got all of the details. This is a world exclusive by the Sun newspaper and their brilliant royal editor, a very good friend of mine, Matt Wilkinson. This is huge. The first headline is that it's a betrayal.
So that's a plus where Meghan is concerned. But I have been fed information starting on the 12th.
People familiar with the situation have suggested that the children's ages may have helped push the decision forward, because this is a stage when parents begin deciding where their children will establish long-term roots. Harry's relationship with his father is another important factor, particularly because King Charles has been living with cancer. The reported motivation is therefore not simply about geography or lifestyle. It also involves family proximity and the future environment in which Archie and Lilibet will grow up.
Prince Harry and Meghan prepare to return to the UK. So why now? How did we get here? And what could their return mean for the Sussexes and the wider royal family? Let's go back to 2020.
The family's recent visits to Britain may have helped turn that possibility into a concrete plan. Harry and Meghan have already spent time in the country, and Harry has continued to maintain connections through his charitable work and other commitments.
Their return is not expected to mean a restoration of their former status as working royals. When Harry and Meghan stepped back, the late Queen Elizabeth II made clear that there could not be a system in which they combined official royal responsibilities with complete freedom to pursue commercial activities independently.
As we said at the time, this is the thin end of the wedge. This is Harry and Meghan creeping their way back into royal life and back into the UK. Now we have it on good authority from the Sun newspaper in a world exclusive that Megxit is over. It's been torn up. Harry's coming home. So they're going to return with Archie and Lily. Archie is 7 and Lily is 5. I'm afraid we don't use the name Lilibet on the Mark Dolan show because we consider it to be a stolen name. They're coming back, not next year.
That principle remains important because living in Britain does not automatically restore royal duties, public funding, or the institutional position they held before 2020.
Their exact home has not been publicly identified, although reports indicate that it will not be in London. Security is another unresolved issue.
In California, the Sussexes have relied on private security, while Harry has continued to have a long-running dispute over the arrangements available to him when he visits Britain. His return, therefore, creates practical questions about how protection will be handled for the entire family.
Of August, which I have kept stum about because I felt it was irresponsible of me to do anything in terms of revealing what was going on. Harry and Meghan, it's all cock and bull. They're not moving back to the United Kingdom because they want to. They're moving back to the United Kingdom because Harry is endangered as a result of the feds. On the 11th of August, there was
It's behind closed doors between the institution and the tabloids.
In an interview with Oprah Winfrey, Harry says racism in the press was a large part of why the couple left the UK. Meghan says life within the royal family was so difficult at times she didn't want to be alive anymore.
What is clear is that moving back does not automatically mean a return to taxpayer-funded security, and the couple may have to continue making substantial private arrangements for their protection.
Then there's the question of the royal family itself. Harry's return could place him physically much closer to his father, King Charles, but that does not mean the deeper family disagreements have disappeared.
The relationship with Prince William is likely to be especially sensitive. Harry and William have been separated by years of public disagreements, and the prospect of the Sussex family living permanently or semi-permanently in Britain could create a new dynamic within the wider royal circle.
And to defend the legacy of her time as Queen, Harry and Meghan have got exactly what they want, which is they've enjoyed the privacy of traveling to the United States, living in a private home, of course, living their lives as they see fit, making money. But they're going to come back to the UK now, and they're going to be royal again. It's a massive headache for Prince William, who's going to have to deal with this rival royal court, which was previously headquartered in Montecito, California, now being in the UK. So let's get to the details of this.
At the same time, greater geographical proximity could create opportunities for quiet, private contact between the brothers if both sides genuinely wanted reconciliation. Any progress, however, would probably depend on keeping those conversations away from public speculation and media pressure.
Public reaction is already divided, and that is hardly surprising given the history surrounding Harry and Meghan. Some people see the move as a positive opportunity for family reconciliation, while others believe the couple should remain in California.
Did you just see that pig flying? I think at the moment she will be back with him superficially and ostensibly for practical reasons. First of all, she is going to want to make sure that Harry's interest in the relative merits philosophically of Wittgenstein versus Kant are.
Buckingham Palace said, while some recollections may vary, they are taken very seriously and would be addressed by the family privately. The next year, Harry travels to the UK after the death of his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II.
The range of reactions reflects how complicated the Sussex story has become. Their departure from Britain was followed by major interviews, a Netflix documentary, Harry's memoir Spare, and repeated public discussions about their relationship with the royal family. Yet despite all of that, Harry has continued to describe Britain as his homeland and has spoken openly about missing it. The decision to bring his wife and children back, therefore, represents a striking shift from the position the couple appeared to hold several years ago.
To sell Meghan's horrible jam and flower sprinkles, my husband! And of course, Harry's speaking engagements have been a disaster. He was earning $1 million per speech when they left the United Kingdom. It's gone down to $50,000 and the gigs are drying up. So Harry and Meghan have failed resolutely in the United States, and that's why they're coming back to Britain. To rely on King Charles for his money and his social position, to become more royal again so that hopefully Meghan can start selling her products, for Harry to be back in the country where he's most happy, and for the couple, in an act of desperation, to try to get things going in England.
At the center of it all are two children who are reaching an important stage in their lives. For Harry, returning to Britain could mean allowing Archie and Lilibet to establish a closer connection with the country he has always described as home.
For Meghan, it means entering a very different environment from the one the family created in California, while for Harry, it potentially brings him closer to his father, his wider family, and the country he has repeatedly said he misses. The move is expected to last for an extended period rather than being treated as an ordinary short visit, although the precise long-term arrangement remains uncertain.
Absolutely trackable, very reputable, very official Democrats in the United States who absolutely want to have nothing to do with Meghan. They regard her as a danger, and they regard her as somebody who should be avoided like the plague. And so all of a sudden, all of this is coming together really very neatly. One could almost say beautifully.
Well,
I
indeed.
don't know what you...
Well, I do. And Lady C, there are, as I say,
A few months later, in an interview with the BBC, he says he wants reconciliation with his family. Then, in a shock move, Harry and Meghan announced their decision to move back to the UK with their children.
The return also raises questions about what Harry and Meghan will actually do once they are back in Britain. Their commercial life will not simply disappear because they are living closer to the royal family.
Since leaving royal duties, the couple have pursued a mixture of media and commercial projects, including Netflix productions and Meghan's business activities. Those ventures were built around their independence from the institution, and that distinction is still important because any work they undertake in Britain will remain separate from official royal duties.
Because of privacy and security concerns, it's not a royal property, and it remains unclear whether Harry and Meghan have bought the residence or are renting it. Don't forget that Harry and Meghan have got big financial problems. As I mentioned, the Netflix deal has gone away. All Meghan's got there is a first look agreement. And what Netflix are doing is having a first look at Meghan's ideas and saying thanks, but no thanks.
Their return does not create a new version of the old arrangement in which they could perform selected royal functions while simultaneously operating an independent commercial brand. That so-called half-in, half-out model was rejected when they stepped away from royal life.
That makes their future position particularly unusual. They could live in Britain without becoming working royals again.
So we're speaking about 8 or 9 days. So obviously the whole thing is rushed because the axe is in danger of dropping. And on the 10th of August, there was no axe in evidence. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you, but
No, I think you're completely right. And it's fascinating. But Lady C, we know that finances are a big issue too.
In practical terms, Harry and Meghan can continue their private enterprises while residing in the UK, but their proximity to the royal family could inevitably generate attention. Every appearance, family gathering, charitable engagement, or public event could be examined for signs of changing relationships. Harry also remains connected to the Invictus Games, an organization he has supported since its beginning, and the Games are scheduled to return to the UK in 2027, giving him another significant connection to Britain.
The biggest personal factor may still be King Charles. Harry has already spoken about wanting reconciliation, and his father's circumstances make that relationship more important.
To the Windsor estate, it could be London, it could be Windsor. It's likely to be somewhere in the southeast of England. If, of course, it was Windsor, it means that Harry will be neighbouring to the William and Catherine property, which is on the Windsor estate. So Harry may well seek to troll and borderline stalk his brother by getting a place close by. But I suspect they will rent, it'll be a big house. Archie and Lily are going into schools in the United Kingdom. And by the way,
Harry's visits to Britain following his grandmother Queen Elizabeth II's death and his father's cancer diagnosis showed that the family connection had not completely disappeared. His decision to return with Meghan and the children could give Charles considerably more opportunities to see his grandchildren privately. Reports indicate that the king was surprised by the decision but welcomed the prospect of spending more time with his son, daughter-in-law, and grandchildren. That does not resolve the disagreements within the family, but it changes the physical circumstances surrounding them.
in a funny sort of way, you have to admire them for being so clever. But it's interesting that all of this dovetails with the feds coming after Harry for having possibly falsified his application forms, because I don't think that they would have moved quite so quickly and quite so decisively had they not discovered that the feds that he stands a chance of being arrested by the feds.
I'm a bit surprised, actually. Just didn't think that was going to ever come to fruition. You know, I felt like they would just stay away.
They're coming back to UK. That's absolutely fine, in my opinion. And if they want to live a life like normal people, that's also absolutely fine.
Oh, they're welcome to stay in California. No, they're always welcome to be in California, but they've had disagreements with their other family. And I think that's only positive, that families can patch up their differences.
For Prince William, however, the situation is more complicated. His brother's return could bring old tensions much closer to home.
William has his own reasons for being cautious about reconciliation, particularly after years of disagreements and public disclosures about the family. The prospect of Meghan and Harry establishing a life in Britain could also create what some royal commentators describe as the possibility of a rival center of attention. At the same time, physical distance has previously made private reconciliation difficult, so living in the same country could at least make discreet conversations more possible. Whether William wants that opportunity is an entirely different question.
That demonstrates how sneaky Harry and Meghan are, that they can sit there in Highgrove House, drink tea with the king and Queen Camilla, who, by the way, was there for the king's protection. And in case there were any lies about what was said at that meeting, which of course happened in the past, Harry and Meghan can sit there, have tea with the king and the queen, and not mention that, oh yeah, by the way, Pa, just to let you know, I'll be back in England in like 4 weeks, yeah? So, you know, can you make up one of the bedrooms in Buckingham Palace? Yeah, that'd be really good, thanks, yeah. Nevertheless, the king, according to The Sun, is understood to welcome the prospect of seeing considerably more of his son, daughter-in-law and grandchildren in a private family capacity. Of course, the king is wrong about that. He's a decent and kindly man, but he's got no backbone. He's immeasurably weak and actually lacks common sense.
And there is the public. Britain has never had one unanimous opinion about Harry and Meghan.
That division was visible in reactions to the reported move, with some people welcoming the possibility of reconciliation and others arguing that the couple made their choice when they left Britain in the first place. Some members of the public express affection for Harry, Meghan, and their children, while others remain strongly critical of Meghan or believe the family should remain in California.
Benefit Harry and Meghan to move now in terms of tax. And again, that might be something that people dismiss, but there's actually a lot of money at stake here. So I just want to take you through the expert view because it's quite complicated, Lady C. You know I'm not a money man, but this is interesting. It's Nimish Shah. He is the chief executive of the London tax and advisory firm Blick.
Even people who knew little about the couple's current circumstances had opinions about the decision, showing just how recognizable and polarizing their story remains.
The American chapter of their story also deserves attention. Their decision to leave California naturally raises questions about whether their life there developed as they originally expected.
Perhaps at the root of it, but again, I am speculating, is the fact that the children are 7 and 5 now, they're going to school, and at that stage you need to think, where are the children going to put down roots and where is their schooling going to be? And at the other end of the age spectrum, he has an elderly father, as we know, who is living with cancer, and I think that has exerted its own pressure on his thinking.
It would be too simplistic to claim that the move automatically proves the couple failed in America, because the available reporting does not establish that as the reason. Instead, the strongest reported explanations concern their children's education and Harry's desire to be closer to his family. The ages of Archie and Lilibet have made the question of schooling more immediate, while Harry's continuing attachment to Britain and his father's health provide another powerful personal consideration.
For as long as those idiots are back in England. So it's days away. Archie is now of prep school age. So that'd be like, 11 is when they go into prep school. Before that, it's younger. Let me correct that. Sorry, they go in when they're 5 or 6. So Archie is of prep school age and 5-year-old Lily is eligible for year 1. Now, this is also significant and a terrible insult to the people of America, because this is Harry and Meghan's way of saying, we don't want our children to be American. How dare they?
Their move also does not necessarily mean California has disappeared from their lives. The family's international connections can continue even after establishing a stronger base in Britain.
That distinction matters because this is not being presented as a simple overnight transformation from American residents into members of the British establishment. Their commercial interests remain private, their security arrangements remain an issue, and their relationship with the royal family remains complicated. The key change is that the Sussexes are choosing to place their family closer to Harry's homeland at precisely the moment when their children are old enough to begin forming lasting memories and educational roots.
Despite what some people in that country have done. So, you know, I miss the UK. I miss parts of the UK, of course I do. And I think that it's really quite sad that I won't be able to show, you know, my children my homeland. You know, of course, some members of my family will never forgive me for writing a book. Of course, they will never forgive me for lots of things. But, you know, there is. I would love reconciliation with my family.
If you're following this story closely, this is the point where the details become especially important. Like the video, share it with someone following the royal family, subscribe for more coverage, and leave a comment with your view on whether Harry and Meghan's return can genuinely improve relations within the family.
The public reaction will matter, but the more consequential developments will happen privately. Harry's relationship with King Charles, the distance between Harry and William, Meghan's role in the family's new life in Britain, and the children's education will all shape what this return actually becomes.
Rothenberg. And he said, it's good to see Harry and Meghan achieve 6 full tax years of non-UK residency to manage the temporary non-resident rules for capital gains tax. They have clearly had some good tax advice, and the timing of the move back to the UK is immaculate. Now, that is because HMRC, that's like the tax man here in the UK, has a rule designed to stop wealthy Brits scooting abroad, cashing in their assets and strolling back home. It's called the temporary non-residence rule, and it means that if you leave the UK and come back within 5 years...
After a few years away, in 2026, the entire family came to the UK to visit. There have been suggestions that this turned a possible move back into a firm decision. So where will the couple live when they move back to the UK? The exact location has not yet been revealed, but it will not be London. And what about their security when moving back? That is really unclear.
The couple may be returning to a country they once left behind, but they are not returning to the same circumstances they had before 2020. Britain has changed, the royal family has changed, and Harry and Meghan themselves have changed considerably since they began their life in California.
There is another important issue surrounding the return: security. Harry has spent years challenging the arrangements available to him when he is in Britain, and moving back makes that question much more immediate.
Harry and Meghan don't want their children to be American. They want their kids to be posh, snooty, arrogant English people. And there's enough of those already. I'm not one of them. I'm humble. I'm lucky. I am a humble person. I was raised Roman Catholic. Always make yourself small. I'm lucky. I'm obviously very bright and I have great judgment and a swimmer's build. But fundamentally, you've got to be humble. And they're not going to be humble, Archie and Lily, if they wind up going to these posh English schools. And they're going to be like, oh, hello, mama. Is it time for afternoon tea with scones and clotted cream?
The Sussexes have used private security in the United States, but it remains unclear whether the same team will operate in Britain or whether different arrangements will be required. What is already clear from the available reporting is that Harry is not automatically receiving taxpayer-funded police protection simply because he returns to live in the UK. That means security will remain a significant practical and financial consideration for the family as they establish their new life.
Our long national nightmare is over. Harry and Meghan returning to the UK after failing to take the colonies. But what's interesting is Harry and Meghan's team have briefed Sarah Nathan, the editor-at-large. She's British, by the way. She works for Page Six, claiming to reveal the real reason that they are coming back. Now, Lady C, it's all spin, but it is worth just looking at what Harry and Meghan's team are saying, because the claim is that it is because they want to be closer to King Charles and ensure their children build relationships with family. All of this, of course, Lady C, piling pressure on Prince William because
provide security of his own while he's living in the United Kingdom. So that will be a challenge.
So what could they do for work? From Netflix deals to making jam, they've tried their hands at a number of ventures. Any work they do here will not be linked to official royal duties.
Their choice of residence will therefore matter as well. The precise location has not been disclosed, but it is reportedly not going to be London.
Keeping the address private is understandable given the intense attention surrounding the family, particularly where Archie and Lilibet are concerned. Their schooling is also being treated as a private matter, and the exact schools have not been publicly identified. The couple have consistently emphasized the importance of protecting their children's privacy, while their public profile means that even ordinary decisions about education and residence are likely to attract considerable scrutiny.
That Harry and Meghan are dangerous and need to be played carefully. And I think he's been playing them carefully. Let's remember the meeting at Highgrove took place after there was the revelation that Harry had been enjoying philosophical discussions of some depth and penetration with somebody else who was interested in Kant and...
The children's education may ultimately prove to be one of the most consequential parts of this decision. They're reaching the age when a temporary visit can become a long-term family commitment.
Archie is now 7 and Lilibet is 5, so the question of where they attend school naturally becomes more pressing. A move at this stage can establish friendships, routines, cultural connections, and a sense of belonging that lasts well beyond the immediate circumstances.
In the absence of those two, those grifters, those charlatans. In fact, can I tell you that America already feels lighter and happier in their absence? Because Harry's going to be on Expedia.com, which let me tell you is the best way to book a trip. The whole of the trip of the Mark Dolan Show has been booked on Expedia, and it's tremendous value, and they're welcome to sponsor the show when the time is right and if the price is right. Anyhow, so let's get you some more information before we wrap this up. This is the first show in the world to break the news. Not only do we have the best content, we have the quickest content. We are quick.
That is why the reported explanation that Harry and Meghan want their children educated in the UK carries more significance than simply choosing one school over another. It suggests that Britain could become an important part of their children's everyday lives rather than somewhere they visit occasionally.
For Harry, that could also represent something deeply personal. He has repeatedly spoken about his attachment to Britain despite everything that happened after his departure.
I think William doesn't care about the pressure to reconcile. If he doesn't want to reconcile with his brother because of the things he's done, the wrongs that he feels Harry's done to him, he's not going to reconcile. But it does improve the chances, I think. I think just having him in closer proximity, they can possibly have low-key meetings, no pressure, possibly, make very important that the media doesn't know because they don't want these things discussed in public.
In his BBC interview, he described missing his country and parts of the UK, while also acknowledging the damage caused by his own public disputes with members of his family. His comments about wanting reconciliation were particularly significant because they showed that despite the bitterness of previous years, he had not completely detached himself from the family or the country.
About and his visa entry, and that there is a strong belief by the feds that Harry lied on his paperwork to be able to gain admission to the United States as, I suppose you could say, semi-permanent resident.
Bringing Meghan and the children back could therefore be understood partly as an attempt to rebuild a connection that became severely strained after their move to California.
But reconciliation is not guaranteed simply because everyone is closer geographically. The history between Harry and William remains a major obstacle.
Their relationship has been damaged by years of conflict, public statements, and revelations that became part of the international news cycle. William is unlikely to forget those events simply because Harry has returned.
That Megxit is now in ruins and that Meghan is going to live in the United Kingdom. She's this feminist and this entrepreneur, this global influencer, but she's going to live in a little house, a rented house in Windsor, selling her jam online for a few dollars a hit. Good luck with that. This is a really embarrassing day for Meghan. Can I tell you that it's fine for Harry? Because Harry, as I've said since day one when we launched the channel, he misses England.
And there is no indication that either brother has agreed to restore their relationship to what it was when they were younger. Still, being in the same country creates opportunities that did not exist when one brother was based in California and the other was carrying out royal responsibilities in Britain. Quiet conversations could become possible, but only if both sides are prepared to put privacy ahead of publicity.
King Charles may have the most obvious reason to welcome the change. His son and grandchildren would suddenly be much easier to see.
The reported reaction from the king has been broadly positive, with the emphasis placed on spending more private family time together. That is particularly meaningful given the years of distance and the fact that Charles has faced a serious health challenge. Harry has already traveled to Britain following his father's diagnosis, demonstrating that the relationship has not been completely severed. A permanent or extended return could give father and son more opportunities to rebuild that relationship away from the intense atmosphere of major royal events.
I have my own family. He wasn't talking about Charles and Catherine after their cancer diagnosis. He was saying he didn't even view them as part of his family anymore, Lady C.
And didn't care. It was a matter of total indifference to him what happened to them. They weren't his family anymore. He had his own 2 children and his wife. And yeah, absolutely. I mean, totally cold and heartless. And don't think for a second, Dan, that the king, the queen, William or Catherine or Anne or Edward or Sophie or any of the others will have forgiven or forgotten about any of this, because I know that a lot of people would like to believe that the family is a lot.
Meghan's position may be more complicated because Britain is the country she left after an exceptionally difficult period within the royal family. Her return would place her back in the environment that became central to so much of the controversy surrounding the couple.
At the same time, the couple's current circumstances are very different from those they faced as working royals. They are no longer expected to perform official duties, and their income-producing activities remain separate from the monarchy. Meghan can continue developing her own commercial interests, while Harry can continue his charitable commitments, including his long association with the Invictus movement.
How will the public take all of this?
I mean, things will never be the same between William and Harry.
I knew they'd come back 10 years ago. It's common sense, isn't it?
I just like Harry, I like Meghan, I like the children coming back to England, and I like the whole family.
They should stay where they are. Okay, they chose to leave England. No one pushed them out.
I didn't even know that they lived in California, to be honest with you. I thought that they were still in England. Probably because the prices are too high.
The challenge will be maintaining that independent identity while living close enough to the royal family that every major development can be interpreted through the lens of their past.
That tension may define their return more than anything else. They want the advantages of being closer to family without automatically returning to the institutional role they previously abandoned.
The distinction between family life and royal duty is therefore essential. Harry and Meghan can live in Britain, educate their children there, maintain private businesses, and attend personal or charitable events without becoming working royals again. But because they remain the Duke and Duchess of Sussex and members of the wider royal family, their presence will inevitably generate attention. The question is whether they can establish a stable private life in Britain while keeping the old disputes from becoming the center of everything they do.
Public opinion suggests that will not be easy. Reactions range from genuine support to outright rejection, with very little middle ground.
Some people see the return as an opportunity for Harry, Meghan, and their children to reconnect with Britain and for the family to repair old wounds.
Woke California is not the right place for him. It's even the climate. The guy, he gets sunburned with the freckles and the ginger hair and all the rest of it. It's not his habitat. So Harry, this is a win, okay? Back in England, drinking beers, hooking up with his army buddies. Meghan is diluted. She can't control him anymore. He's going to be cured of the Meghan mind virus, which is a term that the Mark Dolan show invented. The Meghan mind virus is a serious illness, which makes you think that Meghan is a great entrepreneur, actress, cook.
Others believe the couple made a clear choice when they left and should continue their life elsewhere. There are also people who simply view the move as a private family decision and have little interest in the wider royal dispute. That mixture of reactions means the Sussexes will return to a country where they remain highly recognizable, but where their popularity and reputation are anything but uniform.
Ultimately, this is not just about a change of address. It's about where Harry, Meghan, Archie, and Lilibet believe their family should put down roots.
The decision brings Harry closer to the father he has repeatedly said he wants to reconcile with, gives Archie and Lilibet the possibility of growing up with a stronger connection to their father's homeland, and creates new opportunities for family contact. At the same time, it brings security questions, commercial considerations, public scrutiny, and the unresolved relationship between Harry and William back into sharper focus. The return may offer the Sussexes a chance to rebuild part of what was lost, but the success of that new chapter will depend less on the move itself and much more on what the family does once they are living on the same side of the Atlantic again.
The return of Harry and Meghan ultimately brings the story back to one fundamental question. Can they build a normal family life in Britain while remaining outside the working monarchy? Their circumstances are very different from the ones they left behind in 2020.
They are no longer junior members preparing for a conventional royal future, and they are not returning under the same arrangement they once had. Their commercial independence remains intact, their official royal duties remain separate, and their security arrangements still require clarification. At the same time, Harry's connection to his homeland, his relationship with his father, and the education of Archie and Lilibet have created reasons for the family to spend considerably more time in Britain.
The biggest change may be the children.
And philanthropist, right? It's the Meghan mind virus. Oh, Meghan, you're so amazing, yeah. And Harry's going to come to England and he'll have other people and he'll be in the real world. The bubble will be burst. The Stockholm syndrome will end and he will be cured of the Meghan mind virus. So let's wrap this up because I need to get a Carl's Jr. Let me know in the comments, what is the best burger to get at the Carl's Jr.? I don't know. Is it up there with the Wendy's? Because I love Wendy's because well, apparently it's Harry's favorite restaurant. That's another story. Meghan doesn't cook. She's a klutz in the kitchen. I like the Wendy's, actually. And I relate to Wendy because, like me, she's got red hair and freckles and she's famous too. So we've got a lot in common. The family is not completely abandoning its international life. Harry and Meghan are expected to hang on to the Montecito mansion. But let me just say that the Sun are saying that, right? They're keeping the Montecito mansion. No, they're not.
Their return gives Archie and Lilibet an opportunity to know the country their father has always described as home.
That does not necessarily mean abandoning their American upbringing or their existing connections, but it does mean Britain could become a much more important part of their daily lives. School, friendships, family relationships, and ordinary routines could gradually establish a connection that Harry worried his children might otherwise never have. In that sense, the move is as much about the next generation of the Sussex family as it is about Harry and Meghan themselves.
Harry's own words make that especially significant. He once said that he missed his country and regretted the possibility that his children might never properly experience his homeland.
He also said that he wanted reconciliation with his family and that continuing to fight was no longer worthwhile. Those comments provide important context for the decision that has now emerged because they show that his relationship with Britain remains emotionally complicated rather than completely broken. Returning with Meghan and the children could therefore be an attempt to reconnect with family and country.
Myself too. Good morning, Gail. And it's understood that Harry and Meghan only decided this last month and that their homecoming would be for an extended period of time.
I left the country, but he has spent years trying to farm that in.
So will this be their forever home? Not at the moment. But they are expecting to be in the UK for what's described as
without necessarily returning to the institutional role he previously held.
But the royal family will not suddenly become uncomplicated because Harry is back. The old disagreements remain part of the history.
Prince William's relationship with Harry is still one of the most difficult questions surrounding the move. There is no guarantee of reconciliation, and proximity alone cannot repair years of mistrust. However, living in the same country could at least remove one practical barrier and make private meetings possible if both brothers eventually decide that rebuilding their relationship is worthwhile.
King Charles has a different perspective. For him, the return could mean seeing his son and grandchildren far more often.
Reports indicate that the king welcomed the prospect of greater private contact with the Sussex family, despite the decision reportedly coming as a surprise to him and the wider royal family. Given Harry's expressed desire for reconciliation and Charles's health circumstances, more frequent family contact could become one of the most meaningful consequences of the move. Whether that develops into a broader reconciliation with the rest of the family, however, remains impossible to know.
There is also a clear boundary that should not be overlooked. Returning to Britain does not mean returning to royal service.
Harry and Meghan are expected to remain outside the working monarchy, meaning their private businesses and charitable activities cannot simply be presented as official royal duties. That distinction was established when they stepped back.
No, they're not. There's no way that they can run that house in Montecito, which is bigger than they need, and it's only big because of Meghan's ego. They're not going to run a house in England and a house in California. They're going to sell that. And we broke that story. Kelvin McKenzie, former editor of The Sun, said that they're going to lose that house because they need the cash. And so I promise you, they will be paving the way to get rid of that house in Montecito because they're going to be in England for years. The return raises huge questions about the settlement reached after Megxit. Under the Sandringham Agreement of January 2020, Harry and Meghan were prevented from pursuing the hybrid arrangement that they'd originally envisaged, half in, half out, combining some official royal functions with the freedom to earn commercial income independently. Their new life in Britain will not overturn that principle.
And the principle against a half-in, half-out arrangement remains central to understanding their position. Their presence in Britain may attract royal attention, but it does not automatically restore the institutional privileges or responsibilities they previously held.
Security will remain another major practical issue. Living permanently in Britain is very different from arriving for a short visit.
The family will need arrangements that protect them while also respecting their status outside the working monarchy. Harry's dispute over official security has been a long-running issue, and available reporting does not indicate that the move itself resolves it. The couple's private security arrangements, the location of their home, and the protection required for their children will therefore remain important questions as their British life develops.
And then there is the public reaction. Harry and Meghan remain two of the most closely followed figures connected to the royal family.
Some people will welcome their return because they see it as an opportunity for family reconciliation, while others will remain deeply critical of the couple and their decision to leave Britain in the first place. There are also many people who simply regard the move as a private decision involving two parents and their children. That mixture of attitudes means the Sussexes will have to establish their new life under an unusually intense level of public attention.
So Harry and Meghan are not returning as working royals. They're expected to continue running their private businesses and commercial enterprises and will not receive public money simply because they are once again living in the UK. But here's the point. They're going to return to the UK and they're going to pretend to be royal and they're going to try to make money out of it and they're going to make life a misery for William, Catherine, Charles, Camilla, and all of the people.
In the end, the significance of the return is not that Harry and Meghan are suddenly becoming working royals again. They are not.
The significance is that a family that once appeared to be establishing its future permanently in California is now choosing to place much greater emphasis on Britain. Harry wants a stronger connection with his homeland and family. Meghan is returning to an environment that has been central to their story. And Archie and Lilibet are reaching the age when education and long-term roots become decisive. Whether this produces genuine reconciliation, a stable private life, or another complicated chapter will depend on what happens after the move, rather than on the announcement itself.
For now, the clearest conclusion is that the Sussex story has entered a new phase. The family is moving closer to the institution they once stepped away from, but without formally becoming part of it again.
That creates a delicate balance between family, privacy, independence, and royal identity. Harry and Meghan will have to navigate their relationship with King Charles, the unresolved distance with Prince William, the practical demands of security, and the education of their children while maintaining the independent life they built after leaving royal duties. Whatever happens next, their return changes the geography of the royal family and gives Harry something he has repeatedly said he missed: a much closer connection to Britain and to the family he left behind.